All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone. Welcome to our BG5 Live. It is great to have each and every one of you here, and I want to do a big shout out to my team. Thank you for taking over last week and giving me a much needed break. So feel real great and great to be back. So today we're going to be taking a look at trait 9 in quality 4. And today we're going to take a look at the disciplined attention to detail. So it's November 30th, 2021. Can you believe it is the last day of November? We're moving into December. And this is episode number 1. This is episode 133. There we go. All right. So before we jump in and get started, let's say hello to our panel. Let's start with Anna. Hello, Anna. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Glad you're here.
Great to have you, Anna, and Shelley.
Good day, everyone. So happy to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here. Oh, and it's already December, right? In other parts of the world, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Can you believe it? Wow. And Linda.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here, and I missed all the details today, I believe. So I'm really curious about what we are going to talk about today.
Excellent. Well, again, welcome everyone. And what we are taking a look at today is the disciplined attention to details. So we're going to take a look at trait number 9, which is all about focus. So let's kind of take a look at where we have been. Again, we are at the very, very end of November. And before we get there, just as a reminder, if you want to subscribe to the trait of the day, if you want to get an email seeing what the current trait is, I would invite you to follow along. You can go to the BG5businessinstitute.com/BG5-live, and you can sign up for the email. You can also visit there to see what the trait of the day is as well. All right, so November, just to wrap up November, we took a look at alertness. We took a look at creative self-expression. We took a look at breakthrough. We took a look at power skills. Last week, we took a look at personal power. And today we are taking a look at focus, taming the power of the small and the energy for the details. So November has been about this alertness to our own self-expression, allowing us to break through to our own personal power and to focus. So we are wrapping up November and December for some of you, starting off December with taking a look at that focus. And again, we're going to be focusing on trait number 4. And as we take a look at what's happening in the background in the current environment, this is going to be what the background is the entire month of December. So we're going to continue with this 34 in quality 2 with this personal power of momentum, the power that grows when victory is in sight, and the ability when a victory is in sight not to lose perspective, or the power of growth limited by impatience and a tendency to be emotionally carried away by the smell of victory. And again, the 20 of contemplation, the dogmatist, the restrictive and intentionally limited understanding, the restricted awareness of the now, and the limitation if a personal and exclusive is less negative through aesthetic withdrawal, or the gift through expression of leading others down a narrow and restrictive path. The power to lead others down a narrow path. So that's going to continue through the entire month of December. So that's what we have to look forward to. And again, it does define the strength of charisma. This is an express builder strength. So we're going to continue to have this express builder strength through to January. So again, just either taking advantage of the energy or being really careful, especially if you do not have the energy resource defined, which is that red square in the middle. It can be exhausting as well. So make sure that you are creating a balance between work and rest, making sure that you're resting when you need to rest. And again, I feel like I've been going. And so taking a break last week was much needed. So you may be feeling that as well. I know we've talked about this quite a bit. I don't know if our panel has anything to add, because we've been in this particular environment for quite a while.
Something just came to me, Karen. Sorry, Linda.
Yeah.
On the 20, that more of a focus on being in the now. What I was reflecting on as you were talking about this was I've really sort of had my head down and being focused right here, right now, not really looking too far ahead, just really focused energy. And I'm recognizing this week with the 9 also being at play, that it's really all about focusing in then on the details. So just interesting, struck me how those two play together, focusing your attention on being now, here and now, and that power to lead others down a narrow path. That can also be seen as something, just a really focused path, something that we really got to put our attention to right now. So those just popped in to me while you were talking about that. Thought I would share that.
Yeah. Thank you, Shelley. And yes, Linda, you, oh, go ahead, Anna, and then we'll go. Oh, let's go to Linda and then we'll go to Anna.
Yeah, what I noticed, because it's in the background frequency for a while now, and it will be until January. Lots of people that I work with, what I really can see is that there is kind of a pressure to go back to themselves. I feel like the pressure is continuing, and I really love that image with the narrow path of the arrow. I feel like we are forced to go deep within. It's all about individuality, and I feel like it's squeezing us into a certain direction. And it comes to mind because I see it happening around me. I just see that there are more restrictions. Everything is going on longer and longer, and I feel like we are squeezed into also contemplating about, in the now moment, where am I and what do I want, and who, and where are we going, and what is my direction? Because I feel like yeah, people are challenged to think about their job and their relationship and everything that's going on in their life. So really the contemplation of finding their personal power, and that's in the now. And I feel like that's why it is in the background frequencies for so long. It really, you cannot avoid it. It's just squeezing you until you find, yeah, your place, kind of. I don't know, but that's how I feel.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Linda. And Anna.
Yeah, that was nice. That squeezing you were talking about reminds me of a birthing. You know, we are in a heavy duty transitional time, not just this year, last year, but over a decade, or more. You know, we're at this whole transition is cultural, climate, you know, at all levels. So it reminds me of the contraction and the expansion, the contraction, the expansion, because all of our biology functions on contraction and expansion. When you think about your heart, your digestion, your eyes blinking, your lungs expanding and contracting, all of that, it's, you know, it's a very physical expression of the world on a personal level and a macro level. So just, you know, just on that thought, I'm just segueing from what you were talking about, Linda. And when in that context, the 22, that restrictive and intentionally limited, it costs to be alive. It costs energy. The sacral energy, we spend our energy, or for those of us that are not defined there, our energy, we have a limit to what we can do, and we need to rest. And I was grateful to hear Karen ask for a break. I mean, you're so energetic, you're so devoted. It was a wonderful service to just take a little bit of energy out of your field. You wanted that time to rest. But in terms of the focus, this is the background. But in terms of the trait of focus, we intentionally restrict ourselves to focus on something, or else we're scattered all over the place. And that's a cost. When I listen to athletes or financially successful people, or moms, or budgets, or all those levels of having to restrict in order to get somewhere, or having to expand to go to the next level. There's this constant back and forth. And if we don't allow that restriction, or allow that centered focus, then we spend too much of our energy.
Wow. I love that you all shared that, because as I'm looking this, it's like the momentum is sort of the expansion, and the dogmatist is sort of the contraction, just like you were talking about, Anna. And tying that in with the focus, it's kind of like with the momentum, it's not losing focus of where we're going, and so it's, in victory, we can, let go of the focus, and then it falls away. The tendency to be emotionally carried away by the smell of victory. You've seen all kinds of videos where, athletes think they have, won the race, and then they realize, they let up on the brakes, and somebody passes them, and they end up not winning. Right. So again, it's in a sense sort of keeping that focus, and being a little bit more on that narrow path with the focus, if you will, throughout this week. So yeah, really beautiful how this all ties in, and I love the connections that we're pulling together. Thank you all for sharing that. Really, really powerful. So let's focus in on focus. So today's theme is all about focus. Whoa. Let's back up. So focus. So it's the taming the power of the small. So its potential can be fulfilled through the detail, attention to all the pertinent aspects. Logic demands determination and continued experimentation. Right. So this is a trait that is part of logic. Not only is it part of logic, it's also part of the format strength of logic. So it really sets up, in a sense, the frequency of what logic is all about, right? This focus, this concentration. It's like a funnel. And this trait focuses its enormous power to concentrate on what is meaningful and worthwhile for us. And it can zero in for long periods of time on all of the detailed aspects of a project, or an issue, and can properly test or assess the formulas for yourself and for others. So again, it really is, in a sense, this focus on the detail. This is one of the traits that's part of the one strength that Natalie has, and that's one of the things I think that all of us really appreciate with Natalie as well. Is she always has this beautiful ability to bring us all into focus. And we can get scattered or not be able to focus. This is one of the beautiful things about this particular trait, is if for example, you ever need to study for a test and you're having a hard time sitting still and concentrating, Find somebody who has trait 9 and simply sit next to them. That can also help you focus as well. So I would love to hear your experience or your insights on focus on this particular trait.
I'll go.
Yes, please.
It occurs to me with focus, it's about what you're focusing on, because that's a selection. Because you can be scattered all over the place, like you were saying, and that saying the devil's in the details, you know, we can get obsessed with one little detail or too many little details. And depending on where that focus is, whether it's on a problem or a solution, whether it's on a negative outcome, whether it's on a positive, you know, you can focus anywhere. But is that a meaningful place to put your focus? Does that actually move energy forward or move your project or whatever you're trying to do? I have the 52. We can talk about that as we go along, but my whole family has the 9. My kids have the 9, and they are the most scattered. It drives me nuts. And I'm always saying, I want to focus, leave me alone. I want to focus, which is the other end of this. You know, it depends on what you're focused on. That's all I have to say about this is the details. Oh, and another thing, I heard this beautiful thing. I can't remember the exact quote, but the quote was about beauty. And beauty, they were talking about an art piece or something. Beauty is when everything unnecessary has been taken away, which to me translates to distraction. You know, beauty is something that contains whatever is meaningful without all the static and distraction. It's not necessarily perfect. It's just that there's no distraction.
I love that. Thank you so much, Anna. Yes, Shelley.
Wow, that's beautiful, Anna. I love that. What I've been aware of this week since we moved into this trait is that I've been trying for months to focus on some details of stuff that I know needs to get done, probably since late summer, early fall. And yet there's been this sort of, well, no, we need to do this first. I got to get that done first, or these other things are in the way. And it was like walking through molasses, like we just couldn't get to these particular details. And today we did it, sat down, focused on the details. And this is in quality 4, I think. So with influence, it was myself and my son who work on the marketing for our family company. And we put together a Kanban board, put all the details in, assigned the tasks, and we're off and running.
Wow.
So it was easy to do today when we've been trying to get at it for months. So this is the power of having this available in the background frequency.
Oh, I love that.
Because I don't have it, neither of us have it in our designs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. So
Really
being able to take advantage of the energy, and it's kind of like it's forcing it, you're trying to make it happen, it's not working, and then, you know, things click into place, right? And you're supported, you know, by whatever the background frequency is. I love that. That's a really great example. As you were talking, I was thinking, I've been way behind in my catching up on my emails, and as soon as we moved into trait 9, that was my focus, and I was able to get through. I'm still working on it. But yeah, so I find, and again, something that I've been trying to get to for forever, finally had the focus to finally get through it. Yeah, I love that example, Shelley. Thank you so much. How about for you, Linda?
Oh, yes. Well, what I really feel with this trait is that what for me stands out is that with this trait, you are able to focus on what is meaningful and worthwhile for us. And for me, it feels like with this trait, you are able to focus on appreciation of what is there. And that's also the taming power of the small. Sometimes the beauty is in the details as well. Not only the devil, but also the beauty. Because then when you focus on something and you are going to feel absorbed in it, sometimes things come alive more than when you are just living your life and everything is just, oh yeah, it's just present. But by focusing on appreciating all the aspects, that's what I really, really love about Trait 9. And that's also what I notice, for example, in working with Natalie, that she's able to see also, well, but this is so beautiful, and that she's enjoying literally what she is noticing from that enormous power that she can hone into things and just can be grateful and joyful about, wow, this is so beautiful. So that's how I experience Trait 9. But for myself, my husband, he has Trait 9 in his core essence. So I always am surrounded by focus, but I feel like with this background frequency, it's a little bit too much because I am all over the place. I see details everywhere. I don't know where to begin, to end, or to, I don't know. I just cannot even tell you right now. But what I also notice is that people are focusing on me. Everyone wants to contact me. I feel like, and maybe also because it's quality 4, but I had kind of a plan, kind of a focus for today. And literally, I have done nothing about that. It was just continuously phones and thing, and people, I need to work with you. I feel like, okay. It's going to be the holidays. I was feeling like I need some break. I need some rest. But I feel like my calendar is a little bit creeping up and it's filling up with all kinds of other things. I feel like, this is not the focus that I was looking for. So I feel like it's a little bit too much today, but it will manage. But also what comes to mind, brainwave, I'm sorry, brainwave alert, is that what you already mentioned, Karen, is that this what is meaningful and worthwhile for us, Trait 9, it hones in beautifully with the 3420 because it's also focusing on what we do have in life despite the restrictions. And I feel like people are more aware of, oh, I have a wonderful house. Oh, I'm grateful that I'm still healthy despite everything that's going on, or that I have a beautiful family. So we are going back to our roots, kind of, so to say. And also what I noticed is that the 34 and the 20 are both in quality 2. So it's really, we are going back to our natural zone of genius. And I feel like Trait 9 will help us to focus on that piece of us that we may miss if we don't have Trait 9.
Yeah. Beautifully said. You know, the saying, what you focus on expands, popped into my mind, right? So we can focus on all of the negative things, or we can focus on being grateful. And we just celebrated Thanksgiving here last week in the United States. And, you know, that's one of the things that I was focused on last week, is really giving thanks to, you know, to all the opportunities that I have for my health, for my, you know, like you were saying, for my surroundings, for my husband, for life itself. And so choosing what you want to focus on. And we always have that opportunity to choose what to focus on. And again, if you're focused on good things, right, the good things expand. If you focus on bad things, the bad things can expand. And so really paying attention this week to what you are focusing on. The other thing that popped into my mind, Linda, as you were talking as well, it can be focus, but it can also be the opposite. It can also be the lack of focus, right? So it can be too many details to focus on, which can also be very overwhelming as well. And that's why it typically needs what's on the other side, right? Which is the 52, which is being able to create that stillness, as opposed to a scattered focus, right? To have a very concentrative focus. And I love what you said, Linda, as well, is utilizing that 34-20 as well, and especially the 20 to really focus on what is important in the now. Yeah, I love it. Really beautifully said. And if we take a look at how you get affected when you are connected, the shadow of trait 9, and when you don't have trait 9, I know a couple of you do have the 52, and so this probably really comes into play. I was laughing at this picture because again, it can be also the lack of focus as well, and trying to entertain yourself. So it's the lack of focus to concentrate. So if you have the trait 52, but you don't have trait 9, sometimes it can be difficult to focus. So do you find it hard to focus, or do you lack the self-discipline to withdraw into your stillness and concentrate? So the problem is that you may find yourself vacillating between restlessness and depression, bouncing from one thing to the next, unable to find the self-discipline to withdraw into your stillness and to concentrate. So you might find it difficult to know what activity or what detail to concentrate on, and you might find that there is no physical outlet that can help you direct or relieve this passive tension within you, except to focus on it. So a lot of the different pressures, because the 52 is in drive and stamina, which is all about pressures, and a lot of the pressures, you can relieve that pressure by doing some physical activity, or being able to utilize that pressure in some other way. What's interesting about the 52 in particular is that really the only way to, in a sense, relieve that pressure is to focus, taking a look at what's on the other side. And so the solution is that you are really designed to work with others that can help you gain the focus that you need to relieve the inner tension and the pressure, giving you the ability to truly sit still and to concentrate. And again, talking about Natalie, Natalie is really great at being able to help us all focus. So I think Shelley, you have the 52, right? Without 9. Can you relate to this?
Oh, absolutely. And it's so wonderful to look at this in so much detail to really get this, because I also have the open mind, inspiration and conceptualization. So I'm completely open there. So I easily get distracted by all sorts of things. I can sit still and concentrate on 100 things at the same time and flip my way through them. What's interesting is my husband has the 9. It's one of our electromagnetic connections. And so he's the guy like Linda, filled with a million details that he's trying to get a handle on. And he has a hard time sitting still and concentrating on them, where I can sit for hours and do the thing with the pencil. I could sit for hours in a daydream. He'll come in and talk to me and I don't hear a word he says. So when I do concentrate, it's very deep when I'm sitting still, and especially with the strength of imagination too. So you can imagine I live in my head a lot. And what I do find though is when I have something that's of really deep interest to me, like BG5, where I can go into a lot of detail and dive deep, I do sit still for long periods of time and really get lost in that, because one detail will distract me and I'll look at another detail. So I am able to sit still. And this is really helpful for me to understand because I always thought I had ADHD or ADD, just that I know throughout my life it's been a challenge for me to concentrate. And when I do find that thing though that I love and I can dive into, I can sit for hours and explore that one thing for a really long period of time.
Yeah.
And my husband and I work best when we work together. He'll come in and
Mm.
ask me about details. And I find somebody asking me for details is really irritating. It's like, I don't want to give you that level of detail. Why are you asking me about those details? It's that shadow part, the pressure to come up with the details or the pressure to focus
Mm.
on them, but not wanting to. So it's kind of a funny dynamic between us, but when we just go and sit together and do it, we get it done much easier than if one of
Mm.
us tries to do it on our own. So
Yeah, beautiful example, Shelley. I love it. And Anna, you also have the 52 as well without the 9.
Yes,
And you have it, and we can also see the difference here. Shelley does have drive and stamina defined, and you have it, you have the 52 with drive and stamina undefined.
yes. I love what you said, Shelley. I can relate to all of it because I can sort of float through my day. I'm a hermit. My core energy is retreating. I mean, I can go in and be still, but still sort of float and move around. I'm glad you brought up the ADHD. There's a wonderful woman on YouTube that does this thing, How to ADHD. And my kids are definitely ADHD, you know, chemically. And so we have this ongoing thing. They both have it. And it drives me crazy because, as an example, my daughter and I were trying to watch a movie after Thanksgiving. And she kept chattering through the whole thing. And I said, honey, I'm trying to watch the movie. Do you want to talk? We can talk. Or do you want to watch the movie? She said, well, I like to talk through the movie. I'm like, oh, you know, I was freaking out because I couldn't. I actually watched the movie by myself later. It's like I couldn't do it, you know. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't focus on that because I wanted to be still and absorb it and listen and watch the scenery, you know, the whole thing. And she said, well, it's more fun to talk. Well, I said, well, can we watch it and talk later? I mean, because I could keep the details in my head too. And she's moment by moment by moment by moment.
Mm.
So it was just an example of that, of the sort of the energy that can go awry between the 9 and the 52.
Yeah.
Or, like you said, Shelley, about working in other categories. When the 3 of us are together, my 2 kids and I, it flows. We can really sit down and talk about something or do something or whatever. So that's it's interesting, that vacillating, that restless, that sort of crazy making for me. I mean, that's how I experience it from the 52. Is that I just want to focus.
Yeah, exactly. Really beautiful examples. I don't know if any of you who are live in our Zoom room, if any of you do have trait 9 or don't have trait 9 but have 52 and experience that shadow, we would love to hear from you as well. Yes, Charmaine. Charmaine has the 52 but not the 9. Would you like to let me grab this here. There we go. Is there anything that you would like to add?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, hi. Yes, I've listened to everything you guys have said, and the ADHD thing has been was an interesting one for me because with that, and also with the 55, at various times in my life, not so subtle suggestions have been made that perhaps I've got something that could benefit from some sort of medication, which I've always found quite funny, because it is just going through this, you know, I can sit for ages. I mean, you know, I can get very, very buried into detail, and I don't mind people asking me questions, but the difficulty is if somebody asks me a question that they're not expecting a detailed answer to, I'll go down a rabbit hole, and I can just sit for ages and ages to, you know, just researching, and I mean, it can be quite debilitating sometimes if I'm not careful, because I can just lose quite a lot of time. But I do think this thing of understanding how the traits and strengths can affect us physically, or certainly affect me physically, helps me to understand that there's not necessarily something physically wrong with me, or, you know, I'm not necessarily depressed. I'm just feeling, I'm going through my emotional wave, and I just need to let it run its course. Because, you know, I think one of the things that I've always been very passionate about is taking the edge off the aspects of our design that give us our depth of character. You know, my 55, for example, if I hadn't had some of the depths of melancholy that can do for me, I certainly wouldn't have a lot of the creativity that I do have, and the ideas as well. So, you know, I think it's often important for me just to kind of look at the whole picture. You know, when somebody comes in with this perception that measuring themselves against other people, or this is how I should be behaving, and I shouldn't, you know, I should be more active, or I should be more still, or I should be. And I always like to just look at those aspects and just see whether there's something underneath it all that is maybe contributing. I'm not saying it's necessarily the cause, but it can contribute to the situation. So not sure if all of that makes sense, but that's what came to me when I was when you asked the question.
Yes. Yeah. Beautifully said. And again, you know, taking that lack of focus, or the lack of, especially when we're taking a look at any of the shadows, you know, taking it, it's always, you have one aspect, but you don't have the other. So it always feels like you're lacking and trying to overcompensate for it. And realizing that it is an aspect of your design, right? That you know, that some of those shadows are your deepest area of learning. That's what's on the other side of the shadow as well, is deep wisdom. And sometimes you can't get to the wisdom without really experiencing and processing that shadow as well. Thank you so much for sharing that, Charmaine. Beautiful. And it looks like Michelle, I think it's, let me just see. And Michelle, I don't know if you would like to share. You have 9 as your personality Earth, so that means it's probably your half birthday, something around there. So I would love to hear from you as well. Give me 1 second here. There we go.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, I was just thinking it's my half birthday. I've never noticed that before, but yeah, this trait for me is in an open center. I'm a projector. And so I think there's an aspect of the wisdom to my experience of this trait. And I just want to share 3 different experiences that I've had with it. One is just personally, I've seen a lot of, I've gotten a lot of feedback from people about my ability to focus on detail and to, as Linda was saying earlier, find beauty through detail. So one of the things that I do is I take a lot of pictures, and I do sort of micro photography. I'm always zooming way in, and people are always saying that doing so gives them a new perspective on something very mundane. And I think that's really neat. And one of the neat things that I've seen about connecting with the 52, my father has the 52 in a defined route, and he's a generator. And it's so funny, he just can't focus sometimes. And when he invites me to help him, he's able to accomplish his task in a fraction of the time. He'll be working on a project for months, literally, and then he'll finally ask me, I'll go in there and in 30 minutes we'll have it finished. It's really amazing. And I don't do anything. I'm just a projector. I don't do anything. He does all the work, but it's somehow the combination of that energy just makes things happen. And the last thing that I want to share is actually about sort of the mystical quality of this channel. I know it's not technically part of the mystical way, but I think all of the channels have their own sort of special mystical power. And when I was in graduate school, I was studying the intellectual traditions of the East, and we were looking at India and at Buddhism. And there's a very famous book called The Fundamental Path of the Middle Way that's written by a man named Nagarjuna. And it's very, very, very logical. And essentially what Nagarjuna does is walks you through the logic of enlightenment. And if you can sort of follow along step by step, you can essentially attain enlightenment through logical understanding. And the experience for me was that we actually had someone in our class who had the full channel, the 952, and he was the only one who understood Nagarjuna. It's very difficult to understand. But reading it with him was just a really, really special experience. So thanks for letting me share.
Yes, thank you so much. Just really, really rich, everything you shared, and such beautiful examples of what this focus is all about. You know, everything from sharing about your dad and you just being there, bringing that focus. I mean, that's the magic for anyone who has the 9. You don't have to do anything. You just sit around someone who wants to focus, and it helps them focus. You know, to seeing that that mystical side of it and the logical understanding of things, and seeing how it works for you personally. Really beautifully shared, Michelle. Thank you so much. Beautiful.
I have another comment on
Yes.
sort of in the ADHD realm, because like I said, I have a lot of experience with my kids trying to go through school and being labeled, and everybody was trying to put them on medication and fix them. And my tactic was more to try to help them understand their body signals. And then when I got into human design and BG5, I realized what all they needed was the validation and sort of the attention or my focus to validate these different rhythms. 9 itself doesn't have the wave, but you can still go into depression. You can still go into this oscillating energy, and it can, all the labels that kids get when they can't sit still in school and focus is so damaging. But when you can help them, steer them into their creativity, whatever that is, then they focus amazingly well. And to
Yes.
take them out of that demanding environment that was very rigid was so much better, because you can really, some of the depression is just low self-esteem. I mean, there's many layers to depression: chemical, grief, the wave, all kinds of things. So I'm not trying to minimize what depression is, but that oscillating energy and oscillating mental processes, if you don't understand that there's a rightness about it, it's not wrong. There's
Right.
a rightness to that process. Then, like Linda was saying, the beauty comes out.
Yeah.
You can function. And I've noticed this over the years as they were able to mature, and I didn't medicate them. I didn't try to force them to do certain things. And they each have a very intact creativity about them.
Mm. Yeah, beautifully shared, Anna. Oh, amazing, amazing. I wanted to make sure we got to today's quality as well and today's celebrity, and then we'll wrap things up. And I know there's a few of you also in our live Zoom room that also have the 9. So at the end, I'll open it up if you also want to share a bit as well. So today's quality, if we take a look at the focus, it is in quality 4, which is about dedication. It's the influencer. It's regardless of the pressures or stress, the disciplined attention to detail. So the elevation is the power to act on the potential of focus, right action that leads inevitably to actualization. The challenge can be the drive for action that ignores the details and the persistent urge to want to skip the essential steps. So this is the quality 4. All right. So again, one of the things that you may notice today is that you may want to end up skipping steps, or you may have that dedication to keep focused, to keep on task, and that inevitably leads to actualization. All right, so that is the quality for today. And also our celebrity. Our celebrity is Woody Allen. And this also goes along with, if we take a look at what the life work theme is, the life work theme is planning. So this is actually a part of the current background frequency with the era of planning. And with the life work theme, your enthusiasm is tempered by sensibly focusing on the pertinent details. Great things, plans, bargains, talents grow naturally when all aspects have been carefully considered and adequately supported. And so he's 4-6 is his public role. He's an American film director, writer, actor, and comedian whose career spans more than 6 decades and multiple Academy Award-winning films. He developed a monologic style rather than traditional jokes, and the persona of an insecure, fretful, and timid intellectual. So if you take a look at it, as far as, again, that logical piece and sort of the enthusiasm being tempered is part of what his character was all about. And he received the most nominations for the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay with 16, and he's won 4 Academy Awards, 1 for Best Director and 3 for Best Original Screenplay. So again, it's always fascinating to see the celebrity as well and how it relates. All right. I wanted to get through that so we could spend a little bit more time also discussing the 9. And if you wanted to call forth either the quality 4 or Woody Allen or anything about the 9, I would love to hear from all of you as well. Again, if you are new to BG5, you want to get your chart, you can go to the BG5businessinstitute.com. If you want to find out do you have trait 9 or not, you can download the free chart. You can see maybe you have the 52 on the other side, so you can check that out. Also, again, you can subscribe to the trait of the day if you want to find the background frequency as we move through each and every day. You can also watch past episodes in our free resource library or on our YouTube channel. And we have classes starting in January, so registration is open and would love to have you join us for one of our classes. So with that, I would love to wrap everything up. And again, if there are others, I see quite a few comments in the chat. So I've lost a bit of a track, have lost track of what's going on there. But I know that there's a couple of you that also have 9. So I'd like to invite you to share if there's anyone else who would like to share. I think Leanna. Are you there?
Yes. Hi. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm outside, so I don't know if the sound is not good.
Oh, you sound great.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to chat. It's my first time actually jumping in the Zoom from the Instagram link. So that's exciting because I usually watch from Facebook.
Ah, great.
So this is nice. Yeah, it's nice to be in. The 9. Yeah, I was just saying yesterday, I'm really aware of my 9, and yesterday, now it all makes sense because I woke up feeling really overwhelmed with the inability to focus, like what Linda was saying as well, although mine's a bit different. But so I was definitely impacted by the background frequency. And then just listening to you all, I'm thinking about even what Michelle said about the beauty. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful feeling to activate the focus. Yeah, it's a beautiful feeling. And so my strategy that I used yesterday was, I didn't know what to focus on, but I always go back to what feels inspiring or what feels fun, right? If I can. And I had a lot on that was making me also feel overwhelmed. You know, that pressure that I was feeling, that I think a lot of us feel the pressure. You know, we talk about pressure a lot with our circuitry. And I just gave myself permission to focus and therefore act on something that brings me joy, which I always believe contributes in some way and is never incorrect. And because you know how we're going in, you know, we talk a lot about the age of the individual and how the bonds are changing. When I watch the recordings of the, what did you call it? The one that you and Linda hosted.
Oh, the mini summit?
Yep. I keep watching it. Thank you so much. Because then this is just my take, but I am feeling that in the past, I would put effort or focus onto something and I would get an exchange, which would be my barter, like I would focus, then I would be paid. Or I would focus and then I would be received in the moment and this would happen. But I'm feeling it very different now. And I focus on something I love that is pure in my heart and brings me joy. And that goes into the field as a credit that then contributes to my security, I can't think of the word here, but I could hear it yesterday. I could feel it yesterday. So I can feel that this is a new way. It's like I'm putting tokens in, and for me personally, obviously everyone uses different strengths, but for me, for sure, one of the ones I lean on is my ability to focus on that which brings me joy and to have total faith that when I do that, I am contributing something that then comes back to me in beautiful ways, that sustains me financially. And again, it's not financially anymore, is it? Like it's shifting, but I will be sustained and supported every time I place my focus on something that is truly heartfelt as often as I can. So I don't know if that.
Yeah. I love what you said, Leanna. I thought it was really beautiful. And again, it's, you know, what you focus on what I said earlier, what you focus on, expand. And I love the way of, you know, honing in and just kind of taking a look at, you know, when you focus on the goodness, on the heartfelt pieces that you're, you know, that you're contributing not only to yourself, but also to the energy of the planet, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
And find your people who also support you and who you support in the process. And I loved what Michelle said about the micro. She nailed it. Like I picture it like playing with a dollhouse. I could play for 20 hours with just these tiny little things in a dollhouse. So that's how I feel this piece. It pulls things apart and it puts it together and it creates magic in the process, you know? So thank you. It's fun.
Yes. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
joining us
Karen.
and sharing. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. And I'm not quite sure how you say your name, so correct me if I'm wrong. Hiloha? We'd love to hear from you as well.
Oh, thank you, Sharon, for the invitation to speak. It's He Aloha Nani, so you can call me Nani.
Nani, love it.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm more versed in the human design language, so apologies if I don't get the labels correctly with the BG5. I'm trying to understand it better. and I really appreciate the spin on the information in this BG5 format because it seems so incredibly practical. And I have the 9.6 in my conscious veil. And what would that be?
The conscious core essence,
core essence?
or oh, in the veil, in what's hidden.
What's hidden? Okay. So Michelle had said something earlier about people making a comment to her in regards to what you really, focus on. You can really focus well on it. And I was recently told by a friend of mine, she said, everything you've done that you put your mind to, you absolutely excel at. Like you just go deep, deep, deep into it and you get real focused in on it. And as a projector, if you can see my chart there, I'm a mental projector. I'll open below, or I'm a mental advisor. And I didn't quite recognize that about myself until she told me. And I also appreciated what was shared in regards to potentially being with other people so that I can sit down and concentrate with them. I do prefer to study with a partner, especially as I've been deconditioning. But prior to that, before I, as a super slave, I probably was going off, not self-energy, but I would dive in. But now I appreciate more doing it with another, in communion, and sitting down and focusing and concentrating with another person. So, and I don't understand exactly how this might translate to BG5, but the 9.6 of gratitude, I've always noticed that I do like to focus in on the little things that we've accomplished, the steps along the way versus just the big end product. It's like I'm really just glad that I'm in this process of focusing, and it's never in vain, so to speak. So I don't know if that was helpful or contributive, and thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Yes, thank you so much, Nani. I love that. And what I really love is, and again, that focus on the gratitude, that focus on being able to work with others and support each other. It's been so fun having so many of you share that have the 9, that it's just really made it really, really rich and really made the 9 and the focus really come into focus. So thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you for sharing as well.
Thank you.
Yes. Wow. What a powerful BG5 Live. I love, love, love all of the contributions. Real quickly, I know we're at the end of our time, but real quickly, if there's any last words of advice or last parting words for today that Anna or Linda or Shelley you would like to add.
I would just add, when we were talking about the quality 4, the elevation and the challenge sounded exactly how it described to me how your decision-making strategy works. If you're operating with your decision-making strategy, it's inevitable that something's going to work, that something's going to turn out, that you get these energy credits that she was just talking about. Or the challenge, if we're not paying attention to our decision-making strategy, you not just skip steps, but the action doesn't work right. The energy isn't productive in some kind of way. It's detrimental in some kind of way. So that's what I was thinking about with the quality.
Yeah,
The
thank you.
dedication to your decision-making strategy will sort of make or break whatever you're working with or on.
Exactly. Yeah, beautifully said, Anna. Anything for you, Shelley?
Yeah, I just love listening to all the contributions today of those of you who've got the 9. You've really given me, it really helped my brain focus just listening to you speak about it. and really focusing in on the beauty in the details. And yeah, I feel just like a whole different quality from what I naturally have, which is very open. When it's not defined, it's very open. So I experience it in all the different ways. And just listening to the few of you who've spoken, you all have it in slightly different ways, and each of you feel slightly different to me in the way that the details are focused on from your point of view. So that was just a really lovely experience to be able to hear those different ways. So I would say that might be something to pay attention to this week, is just pay attention to all the different ways that the details show up in life, whether you find yourself really focused on the micro, small, little tiny things that often can be overlooked or taken for granted, or even to those bigger steps that are somewhat detailed, just to really pay attention to be grateful for and focus in on those small things that you can get lost in those really small details too, and really you know, as above so below, you know, so that as the macro so the micro, it's all exists in the same place, just in slightly different perspectives or viewpoints of it. So thank you all for sharing. That was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, Shelley. And how about for you, Linda?
Yeah, beautifully sharing of each and every one of you. So, what I also feel like maybe it's an invitation to also take a look at your own brilliance. Focus on your natural gifts and talents, and maybe you can feel an overwhelm, but when you focus on something that you love, you may find a gem hidden inside of you. So yeah, I would like to add that to all the beautiful sharings of each and every one of you, because I still feel that this era, or this shift in era, is inviting us to go on a deeper search to the brilliance inside of us and to embrace that fully. So maybe it's a beautiful time to find that hidden gem.
I love that. And that is a beautiful way to wrap everything up. This has been an amazing discussion. And thank you so, so much, each and every one of you, for, give me 1 second here. My other speaker went on. So thank you so much, each and every one of you. It has been absolutely amazing. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing you next week as we move into December. All right, everyone, have a fabulous week and look forward to seeing you all next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.